MVP told Brendan Allen he's all out of losses. All out of bullets. All out of title hopes. Now, those two have their own thing going. I definitely would not give Brendan Allen a hard time. First off, that's a very tough guy. Second off, I haven't seen anything within his skills that's made me think that he's regressing, but ultimately, I would just never kick a man when he's down. It is a curious case. So while I don't want to kick Brendan Allen when he's down, I would like to dig into what in the heck happened here. I mean, there does appear to be a very different fighter. And generally, it's very easy to identify. Generally, a guy gets a little bit of rub. He gets a little bit of run. He starts to believe the things that are said about him. He stops training adequately and appropriately, and his skills regress almost overnight. That is generally what happens. Something very close to that exact degree that I just described. But I don't have that kind of evidence in this situation with Brendan. I just don't have that. Normally a guy will meet a higher class level of scumbag, and that higher class level of scumbag has a little bit nicer gym, and he can convince him to leave the coach that he had since he was a kid, and this is the big times now, and emotions aren't part of it, it's just who can get you certain skills. And many times a fighter will go. Even though we understand you make a fist, you throw it that direction and try to hit him all about the head, chest, neck, face, and waist, right? Someone else has a better way of throwing it at that target. It happens all the time. It's very unfortunate. It is part of the game, but I don't know that it happened with Brendan Allen. I never heard anything that he was changing gyms, that he was changing workout routines. So, what did happen? Did he keep the same gym and the same teams and just didn't keep training the same way? Did he absolutely do both of those things? Neither is right, and he's just getting a different result, which is as equally frustrating for him as those around him. That's possible. He would know what he feels inside, though. Because on the outside, Brendan Allen is doing the same things. He looks the same to us. He would know on the inside whether he reached a certain level, and it scared him. People are very afraid of success. That's something that not everybody can just let in. They're very, very scared to succeed. I haven't seen a lot of that with Allen. I will tell you, when it comes to a fist fight, that's a very odd thing to want to do. And a number of fighters realize, particularly through trial and error of doing it, sometimes even doing it very successfully like Brendan Allen, this is not what I want to do. And fighters will fight that tooth and nail, and they shouldn't. They should embrace that. They should think, whew, good. Wanting to fist fight some guy on Saturday that you have no problem with is a little bit of a strange thing to do. So if you've only got X amount of those within you and you can go get that aggression, hunger, and desire out, it'll bring you a little closer to normal than the currently off-center spot that you're in. But what did happen with Brendan? I don't have those answers. I've seen it a million times. I've seen two guys, one guy that you would know, whose name you know, one guy that you would not know, and they both went down for the same thing, which is salmon fishing. Both of their careers ended for the same thing, which was salmon fishing. They couldn't say no. They just could not get to the gym at 3 o'clock anymore. And largely when you start having success, you for sure have another level of parasite that gets to you. But the parasite will always sell you on the idea, get more for less. Every con man in the history of time, the con will get you more and your output is less. And you've got to be able to see right through these people in our sport. The second a new trainer is trying to train you, before he gets to what it's going to cost, 10%, and he's going to need some camera time, and he wants to be the one to walk you on the scale, before you get to any of those things, he's going to tell you, with his system, You train smarter, not harder. The moment you hear those words, you know you're in the presence of a con man. There is nothing in this world where you get more abundance of it by working less hard. Nothing. There is no such thing as overtraining. Now, that's not a perfect statement, but it's close enough. It's close enough. If you train to the hardest heights that you've ever trained before and you never stopped, and 72 hours before the competition you pulled back, you would be 100% recovered. To explain to you how difficult, how rare, what a mental toughness, what an absolute you would have to do to cross the line of being overtrained. It'd be very hard rhetorically to explain, but the guy's always looking to rest, worried about his recovery, worried about overtraining, working smarter, not harder. None of which are true. Just like when you read the headlines they write about you. It's okay to read them, and it's fun to read them. But it's never okay to believe them. Some are going to tell you you're the greatest thing in the world. That's going to feel really good. You can't believe it. Some are going to tell you you're scum and you're never going to make it. That's okay to read too. You just got to make sure that you don't believe it. So now Brendan Allen's wearing that right now. Brendan Allen listens to Uncle Chael all the time. I happen to believe in him. I happen to think he's really good. I also happen to think that there's something. If Brendan was real fair with himself, and he could go back and trace it, and if he's not able to, then he needs to start today with a calendar. He needs to get out just like a diary, and he needs to keep notes every single day. On the junk meal that he had, on the good food that he had, on the terrible sleep he had, on the great rest he had, what he did and how it made him feel. Because I guarantee you, if you go back and you retrace that, Brendan Allen is no different than anybody else. If you want something different, do something different. I don't think Brendan wanted something different. I think everything was going right. I think somebody got a hold of him and he did something different. Not too late for Brendan Allen. Title shots are most definitely not behind him. But it is nut check time. That's what the real fighters do. Real fighters will sit down and they will analyze. What did I do? Where did I get off course? How can I correct it and how can I work harder? There is no such thing as overtraining. There's no such thing as smarter over harder. If it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Train to exhaustion, train a little bit more.